Sup peeps, my name's Ian, and I've got too many books. Well, nobody's ever got too many books. What's the perfect number of books? At least one more than what you've got at the moment. Having said that, I sell books online, and from that point of view I've got too many books. But for myself, my own little collection, that's something different, and something that's always being expanded on and improved. And that's what I want to have a wee chat through just now. I think this is like episode 4 of Too Many Books, something like that. We'll call it that, whatever it is. What do? What's this all about? Well, just a bit of a catch up. What am I going to read? What am I reading? What have I read? That's 3 things to talk about every time. I don't buy new books very often. I have to be honest. I do occasionally, but not very often. I have ordered a new book that I'm waiting to arrive. Well, it arrived yesterday. I got it from Amazon. Never a good idea. Go to bookshops, buy them there. But I'd ordered it from Amazon, and it arrived very quickly, which is great. But it was a wee hardcover book. The cover was all buckled in from where it's been like crammed through a post box or into a box. It's been sitting in the damp somewhere, so all the pages had that nice little ripple effect. I was really annoyed. If I'd bought it second hand, even on Amazon, I might have gone, oh well, that's what I bought. But this is meant to be a brand new book, so it was just sealed straight back up in the cardboard envelope and sent straight back to them. So hopefully the replacement will arrive maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, and it's in better condition. If it's not, it's going back. I'm just going to get a refund, and I'll wait till I'm up in the city and I'll find a copy there, although I'll probably have to pay a couple of quid more. But what's a couple of quid? You know, nothing. That aside, I do go out and pick up books. Charity shops, thrift stores, whatever, op shops, whatever it is you call them, wherever you are in the world. Although you're probably just sitting around the corner from me, so you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say charity shops. And what have I picked up from the charity shops? Well, let's talk about that first, because I'm a wee bit excited. First, now, Joe Abercrombie. I've read a Joe Abercrombie book now, and it was really, really good. So I've been picking up some more bits and pieces of his, looking for whatever his first trilogy was. I can never remember things till I look them up. But I did have the first 2 of the Half a Whatever's trilogy, Half a King and Half the World. I don't know. So I had that, but then when I was out today, I found that. So I've upgraded that to that. Not read it yet, but I much prefer that cover. That's nice. So that'll be going up in the eBay store. I've already got a couple of copies of that listed, to be honest. But that'll be going up in the eBay, and that's the one that's going on the shelf as the to be read at some point. But it's really nice. Really like it. It's even like the wee crows. They're not just white. They've got a wee bit of whatever. Yeah. So I'll be reading how Prince Yarvi has vowed to reclaim his throne at some point in the next few weeks, no doubt. So that was the first pickup. I'll move that out of the way so it's in a to be listed pile. There we go. What else? Something that I've heard a lot about, and that's Pierce Brown, Red Rising series. So it wasn't particularly high on my, I must get that book and read, but I saw it. It's a wee bit tatty. There's nothing special about it, but it's a good readable copy as far as I'm concerned. So again, I grabbed that, and instead of putting it on eBay, it's going in my pile of to be reads at some point in the next whenever. So that's 2 that I picked up just to read. Now I also picked up some for my collections. So authors that I like, I'm trying to get complete sets of their books in, you know, hardcover first edition, signed. That's the ideal. How far I get with any of that, who knows. So for example, Stephen King is one of the ones I'm trying to gather up. I ain't going to get every Stephen King book hardcover first edition signed. Not in the charity shops. No. But that is the catch. I can only buy these second hand. There's a couple that I will no doubt pick up from the likes of eBay. If somebody's selling something and it's really low and I happen to be there at the right time, I'm going to buy it if it's going to save me, you know, a lot of money. But still, you know, 2, 3, 4 quid max for something that's worth paying that for. That's as far as I will go with that. The rest of it is all about getting these in the charity shops. Car boot sales, if I make it to any this year, as cheap as possible to complete my collection. And I've done alright so far. I've got, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Stephen King hardcover books. All bar one of them is a first edition. The only exception is Misery, which is a second print. First edition, second print, so it's not far away. So that's, you know, pennies. 30p, 50p, 25p. A couple of them I paid a couple of quid for in certain charity shops, but that's just the last weeks, I mean literally weeks, to get all of them so far. No crazy rare books other than the Misery, which was quite a good one. There's nothing in there that's incredibly difficult or rare, but you know, you just got to keep digging at them and see what you can find. Terry Pratchett, I have managed to pick up about 10 Terry Pratchett hardcovers in the last few weeks. I've picked up more than that, but that's the ones I've picked up that I didn't already have, so adding to that pile very, very nicely. You don't see any for days and days and days and weeks, and then you find a couple at once, and it's just great how that works. Which I found one of which today. Monsters Regiment, Terry Pratchett. I did actually pay a bit more than usual for this. I paid £2.99 for this out of the Oxfam bookshop. I wouldn't pay that if I was buying it to resell, because although it's a fantastic book and it's a first edition, paying £3 for a hardcover, you're not necessarily going to get enough to make it worthwhile and a profit. I mean, you might get a tenner for that, you might get £12 for it, which kind of makes it worthwhile, but for buying it for myself, for the collection, £2.99, absolute bargain, an absolute definite. So that's another one to add to the collection, which, you see that I'll be telling you this all the time, I've got 2 copies of The Truth, because one's a first edition, another one's a signed copy. But anyway, the signed copy is up for sale on eBay, but I've listed it really, really high, so hopefully nobody will ever buy it and I get to keep it. But it's too good not to have it uplisted at the moment. Anyway, that was one of the pickups. The other, well, another author that I'm trying to collect, probably can't see him up in the top corner there, Greg Hurwitz. Not all Greg Hurwitz books, he's written quite a few books, but I really, really enjoyed the Orphan X series. I've read about the first 5 books, I think, yes, and there's 9 at the moment in the series, I believe, and I had the first 8. I had 8, not all first editions, but I had 8, and then when I was out today, I found a wee upgrade. So I had a copy of The Nowhere Man, but it was like a second or third print, so I found a wee first edition of that. Again, these aren't valuable books, whether they're first editions, second editions or whatever, but it's just what I want to have. So I got a copy of The Nowhere Man, which is book 2 in the series, so that will replace the one I had. So I'll list it on eBay and I'll keep the first edition one, and much to my surprise I found a copy of the latest book, which came out just at the end of last year. So it's always nice when you find these in the charity shops so soon after they were published, and it is a first edition, which isn't a huge surprise this early on in its existence. But Lone Wolf, now I want to read this. I keep adding it to my basket in Amazon. I think it's about £9 at the moment in Amazon to buy the hardcover. Keep adding it, going, oh, just buy it and read it, and I put it off, and I'm glad I did, because today I got this for 33 1/3 pence. Much cheaper than £9, so that's a cracker to add, and that has me now got a complete set of Greg Hurwitz Orphan X in hardcover, and I've got 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4 of them to read. So that's really good. I'm really, really happy with that. Anyway, that's my pickups. Spent far too long talking about that, didn't I? Yes, I did. What have I been reading? You're probably not interested in this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. What have I been reading? Right. I did a nice wee breakdown of everything I'd read, I think, in the last video or the one before, so I don't really go into much detail. But my latest read has been S.A. Cosby, Blacktop Wasteland. Brilliant, loved it. Dark, grim, but a great ending. If the whole book, although it's like crazy action sequences and, you know, hard as nails dudes everywhere, it felt really realistic. It felt really real. Can't recommend this enough. So much so that I've been out digging about looking for, you know, a couple of hardcovers of this and try to pick up some more of his other books. They're not expensive. They're not, you know, fancy collectible books by any way, but this was great. What's it about? Bug Montague, whatever it is. Honest mechanic, loving family man. He's no longer the criminal he was, the sharpest wheelman east of the Mississippi. But when his respectable life crumbles, a shady associate comes calling with a one-time job promising a huge payout. Inexorably drawn to the driver's seat and haunted by the ghost of his outlaw father, Bug is yanked back into a savage world of bullets and betrayal. Like Breaking Bad in a high-speed collision with Drive, this dazzling novel holds up a cracked mirror to the American dream and tells the story of one man pushed to his limits by poverty, race and self-destructive masculinity. It's great, really was great fun, and it's not just a fun quick read, it's well written. I mean, I really can't recommend it enough. And that kind of got me to the end of my April reads. So not a lot read in April, but that's what we got through. Bottom is the worst, top is the best, but I feel I need to qualify that a wee bit further. At the bottom we have Richard Kadri's The Pale House Devil, which was a kind of blind date with a book thing I picked up in the shop. So it was like a couple of quid, it was all wrapped up nice and pretty for Easter, so I bought it, read it. It's alright. I mean, I read it all, which is more than I can say for the book that I tried to read after it. But, you know, it's just alright. It was like a kind of rough treatment for a Hollywood script rather than a novel, if that makes sense. But that was okay. The book I tried to read after that was Stephen King's The Stand, his extended edition. Never read it before. Thought, I love Stephen King. Time to finally give this a go. It was mince. Didn't get into it at all. In my opinion, I didn't like it. I've spoken about it in other videos, so I'm not going to go into it again. But if I didn't finish it, it's not included in my reading. But the remaining 5 books that I got through in April, so Dark Matter, Chain Gang All Stars, A Little Hatred, Blacktop Wasteland and Lonesome Dove, they were all really good. So although I have an order here, and I'll be continuing just, you know, whenever a book's better, I'll be slotting it into this as I move through the year. But as an introduction to that, Lonesome Dove was, you know, absolutely immense. Blacktop Wasteland, I just told you about, absolutely loved it. A Little Hatred, some of the most fun I've had reading a book in a long time. Chain Gang All Stars, really good, excellent, well written. Weirdly authentic, considering what the subject matter is, which again, if you watch the previous video, you'll know about that. But you know, a brilliant book, possibly quite an important book. And then Dark Matter, although I did slag it off a little bit because there's so many holes. It's just, I mean, I read it in a day. So although it was easy to criticise, it's a popcorn book. It's a page-turning thriller. You start reading that, you're not going to stop until you get to the last page. Absolutely brilliant. So all 5 of these books were absolutely fantastic. I just had to put them in an order. It's as simple as that. And that's the order that they're in. But that's the 6 I read in April. I haven't been tracking what I read before that this year because I really only started thinking about it this way in the last few weeks, to be honest. But I do have a stack of what I'm planning on reading throughout May. So 1st of May, and I'm trying to keep a wee bit of a mix. I don't want to get bogged down in the one thing. But this is not definite. This is what I'm planning on reading, but I will pick things up as the weeks pass that will end up getting read straight away. And some of these, I'll go to it to start it and I'll think I'm just not in the mood and I'll move on to something else. I'm not going to be tied down and think, oh God, I have to read that book. It's pleasure, it's fun, it's my leisure. I don't want to miss out on it. Anyway, in no particular order, As I say, I don't know which order I'm going to read these in. I've got The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which I just keep hearing about. It seems to be everywhere all the time, and it sells brilliantly on eBay, so I think I'll have to give it a read. We've got Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. I've also got the second book in this series. I'm not expecting this to be particularly good, I'll be honest. I think it's just going to be a bit of a romp. But I've heard it, what is it, George Martin crossed with Terry Pratchett, so I don't know what that means. Might be one of these where I'll read the first 50 pages and go, forget it, but we'll find out. I'm slightly intrigued. So that's on the May list. Also, we have Leviathan Wakes. Watched The Expanse on whatever it was on, Amazon, Netflix, it was on something. Really enjoyed it, it was really good, but it felt a bit, not a low budget, but wasn't the HBO, do you know what I mean? But really enjoyed it, more than I thought I would, so I figured I should try some of the books. So I picked up the first one of that, as you can tell, usual source, and we'll see how it goes. So I've got that in for this month's list. I'm not a huge sci-fi reader or fan. I've read a few sci-fi books. Iain Banks, the Iain Banks with the name in the middle. Love the culture books. Read them all when I was a lot younger. Dune, read that last year for the first time. Really enjoyed it, surprisingly so. But I've not read a huge amount outside that. A wee bit Adrian Tchaikovsky. I think I've picked up other books in the past and just gone, nah, not for me. So I'm hoping I enjoy that because it's a big series and I've heard a lot of good things about the whole series, so it'd be great to find something that I can get wired into. So that's another May probable book. Then we've got Argylle, Ellie Conway, Ellie, which I was informed by one of you lot that's just two authors who Matthew Vaughn got to write the book of the film. So it looks like it might be a bit of fun again, nothing massively heavy. I mean, I think the literature for this month, the literature shall be Secret History by Donna Tartt, but beyond that, I read to enjoy myself. I'm not going to read something because, oh, it's something that you should read, or you really should read this book, you really should. Forget that, man. Read what you like, and if you don't like it, stop reading it and read something else, you know. If you don't like reading, watch the TV. Finally, I've been putting this off for a long time, pretty much since it came out. The Book of Sand by Theo Clare, who some of you will probably know was Mo Hader. I think Theo Clare is actually her real name. Mo Hader, she was a bit of eye candy on the telly back in the 70s. She went on to become a very successful thriller novelist, writer, and sadly died far too soon a few years ago. This was her final book, so she'd stopped writing as Mo Hader and she had started writing as herself, Theo Clare, and this, I believe, was meant to be the first in a series set in whatever universe this is going to be, the Book of Sand. So a bit of fantasy. Mo Hader, I really enjoyed Mo Hader's thrillers. I mean, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. Up there with John Connolly, if not slightly better at times. I always want to have another of those books to read. You know, I always want another Terry Pratchett. So there's Terry Pratchett's that I haven't read, and I never will, because there always has to be one more that I can go to. John Connolly, I always want to have another John Connolly book to read. So the new book comes out in the next few days from him, but I've still not read The Furies. So the Charlie Parker series, that's the one I'm talking about, obviously. So I can read The Furies now that I know the new one's coming out in the not too distant future, and I'll have a copy of it soon enough. So there's authors like that where I always want to have one more. I always want to have one more George Martin, Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire book, but it's just taking too long, man. Taking too long. It's taking too long. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. But that's my TBR to be read for May at the moment. It may get bigger, it may get smaller. I may add things to this as they come in, including the little book that I'm waiting to get that I bought new from Amazon and came all soggy, etc. But more about that if and when it actually shows up in a good form. So yeah, that's it to be read. And what am I reading at the moment? Titanium Noir, Nick Harkaway. I've had it in the shelf for a few weeks, and I love the only reason I picked it up was because I really liked the look of the cover. It was, I'll pick that up to sell, but then I had a wee look at it, and I sat down yesterday and just got started on it, and I got the first 10 pages before the boy came in and started talking. So that kind of ended my reading yesterday. That's not a bad thing. I love conversing with my offspring. But this just looks really good, and just the first few pages straight in there, you know, you're submerged, taken in, drawn in, stuck right into this world, and yeah, looking forward to getting into this a bit further. What's it about? I've probably told you this before. A tightly woven tale of murder, betrayal and vengeance. Enter the world of the Titans. Ominous, eh? What is it? It's a detective that deals with dead Titans who are genetically enhanced super beings who kind of run the world. That's as much as I've got. The bit I've read so far, he's gone somewhere where one of these dudes has been murdered, suicided. We don't know yet. I'm only like 10 pages in. He's a chance, man. But I really like it so far, although it's only a few pages, and again, it's just a wee one. I kind of expected just to read all of this last night, and let's say, got distracted with a boy, and then I stuck on something to watch with me dinner. What's it called? Oh, Dead Boy Detectives on Netflix. So it's a spin-off from Sandman. Sandman was quite good, quite enjoyed it. This looked a bit teeny, nonsensy, but I thought I'll stick it on whilst I'm having something to eat, just for a bit of background, and I ended up watching about 4 episodes of it. But it's really, I mean, it's not good, but it's very entertaining. The acting is awful for the most part. Special effects are so-so. They've made a lot, I think, with probably what was quite a low budget. No huge cast members, but the baddie, she the biz, yeah, that's a really good. I really enjoying her, and the rest of them just keep it all ticking over. So, and it's also got what's her face out of Big Bang Theory's little sister is in it. Would never have recognised the lass. Looks nothing like her. Obviously goes to a different plastic surgeon. But yeah, that was quite entertaining. So I ended up watching a whole load of that, and then never got back to that last night. But I'm going to read a few pages this evening, and then have an early night, because I've got lots of books to sell tomorrow, as I do. But that is all for now. So we've got what I've been reading, what I've picked up, my TBR for May. Any of these books you fancy yourself, grab a copy, join in, read them with me, tell them what you think, or just tell me that my choice is absolutely pants and that you won't go anywhere near these books because I have no taste and you are all much better people than me. Enough said. Right, catch you later. Bye.